guys, welcome to another episode of Smash JT. Video Game 247 or VG247.com had an interview with the boss of Devil May Cry currently, Hidaki Itsuno, and asked him a few questions regarding the potential of bringing Dante to Smash Ultimate. Now, on the surface, it seems innocent enough, but digging deeper, the problems that come out of this deal with port begging and why this is going to be such a gigantic issue going forward. I couldn't make this up if I tried, but now we have publishers who are trying to get the gamers all rallied to start port begging for specific games to come to consoles that the game is not already on. And this is kind of a role reversal, as throughout history, typically it was the gamers who were port begging for games initially, saying, we really want to play game XYZ on XYZ console and we can't do it. Is there any way you can bring that to the console that we want? We'd love to play it on the Switch so we can have it on the go, or play it on the Xbox One so we can have superior graphics, or whatever the case would be. It's the only console I have. I'd love to be able to play this game. What can you do for me? There are a slew of reasons why gamers have port begged in the past. I've never agreed with the stance of it. I think it's ridiculous. The entire premise of port begging is gross. If a company wants to bring a game to a console, it doesn't have anything to do with pleasing you, the gamer, specifically. It has to do with the overall effect of, are we going to make money if we put the development costs into making this game to port it to a different console? Is there value in that? And ultimately, unfortunately, that's the business reality of the video game industry. Gamers have been playing as Bayonetta in Smash Ultimate, who happens to be another creation of Hideki Itsuno. Now people are saying they want to have the ability to play as Dante, to play against each other, to have Hideki Itsuno's both of their characters be able to fight against each other, which on the surface seems harmless enough. You know, that's a cool idea. I'd love to be able to play as Dante in Smash Ultimate. I think it's a really fun character, a complete move set that's already created for you, and it would be fun to see him in there, similar to how, you know, Cloud Strife from Final Fantasy VII made it in. That would be really fun to see Dante in the game. VG247 asked the current boss of Devil May Cry, Hidaki Itsuno, if this is something that could be a potential reality for Smash Ultimate, to which he replied, well, you think about it, I'm pretty sure that they, all the characters in Smash at least, have some game on a Nintendo platform, right? Itsuno goes on to say, well, that's the thing. Devil May Cry has never been on a Nintendo platform, so it seems like the first thing to do would be to get Capcom to put Devil May Cry on a Nintendo platform in some way, shape, or form. Whatever game that might be. Tell her, he adds with a laugh, gesturing to the Capcom UK representative who can pass feedback on fevered requests for some Devil May Cry Switch ports back up the chain. Though he does acknowledge that Cloud Strife from Final Fantasy VII technically was never on a Nintendo platform, it will be coming to the Switch, but when it first came out on the Wii U having Cloud Strife in the game, Final Fantasy VII was nowhere to be found. So there have been situations in the past where there was a character from a game that was never on a Nintendo platform, though they tried to explain that away, saying that Final Fantasy has a rich history on Nintendo platforms, so they could see why he made it on it there. But I would argue, before I go even further, that Dante's been on a Nintendo platform too, coming straight from Capcom. Did they forget Project X Zone? They made a game with Dante on the cover. So Dante's been on a Nintendo platform made from Capcom. It's already happened. So they don't need to have, technically, another game be ported to the Switch to justify having Dante on the Smash Ultimate roster. To me, this just stinks of a marketing campaign as an egregious way to try to make as much money as possible off the gamers. Now, personally, would I love to see Devil May Cry on the Nintendo Switch? Yeah, I think the more the merrier. But if Capcom wants to do it, then do it! Don't force the gamers into an awkward position where they have to start demanding it, going to forums, sending emails, all these things that, at the end of the day, make very little impact on the ultimate decision of if they're going to port a game or not. If Capcom was going to port the game, they probably already decided to do it or not based off of how many Switches have sold and previous history of sales with Devil May Cry. Port begging has a very minuscule, tiny impact on if it's actually going to change anything. It's just a way for the companies to rally people together, get the marketing blitz going, so that when they finally do announce it, people all act like, oh my god, we had some role in getting this game coming to the system, when in fact they had nothing to do with it. This is ludicrous to me. If they need to get Devil May Cry on the Switch prior to getting Dante in Smash Ultimate, there's a lot of things wrong with the entire process of how Nintendo goes about selecting characters to be on the Smash Ultimate roster. First off, Cloud already proved that the game doesn't need to be on the system in order to get the character in it, and like I said, Dante has already been on a Nintendo platform, coming directly from Capcom themselves. Project X Zone has Dante in it, so this to me just sounds like a crazy marketing blitz where they're trying to get as much hype as possible, because ultimately they do plan on bringing Devil May Cry to the Switch. Regardless of if Dante ends up making it into the roster or not, doesn't matter. This is just the initial process in getting people interested in buying Devil May Cry when they finally do announce it. And honestly, it's going to be a fake pat on the back to everybody who starts demanding it, because they'll think they had some sort of impact on it when, like I said, in fact, they don't. But Smash, these companies need our money. How are they going to know what they should port if we don't talk to them? Look, they know what a good game is. They know how much money they put into development, what they expect sales to be even before the game releases. They know the audiences of each of these consoles. They have an idea of who's gonna buy what and where it's gonna fit best. And are they perfect with it? No. Have there been instances where port begging ended up getting a game to come out on a specific system? Yes, but by and large, that is the rare exception to the rule. Game companies do not care about you. They care about your money. And begging for a game to come to a console just for you isn't going to change anything. You get a group of people together, it's still not going to change anything. You want to go to change.org and make a petition to have a game come to your console, it's still not going to change anything. If there is seriously that much demand for it, the company already knows it based off of the sales on the console it originally came out for, and people demanding it isn't going to change that. And this all points to a much bigger issue in the game industry at large, and it seems to be getting worse as time goes on, where everyone is just starting to port beg everything, and this kind of attitude from the actual company is only encouraging it further, and it's only going to get worse. And I'm here making this video saying, as a gamer to another gamer, do not port beg. Just don't do it. If the company is not going to bring a game that you love to the system you want it to, then buy the game on the system it's already available on, and that may justify the demand for them to actually bring it to a different console. But all this whining, all this entitlement, all this, oh, I really want this game coming to this console because I'd really love to play it, stop it. Stop it. You're better than that. And plus, there's so many games to play right now. Are you really going to spend your time complaining to companies about why they didn't bring the game you want on a different system the way you should have had it in the first place because they're inept and they don't think they're going to make money on it in the first place? I mean, I could spend 3 hours making a video talking about how many games I would have loved to see on the Switch, starting with the Secret of Mana trilogy and how Square Enix completely botched that, sending it out just in Japan but not in America for whatever reason. And Square Enix seems to be one of the major culprits of putting games out in Japan but not in the rest of the world. They've always been like that. And yes, I know that example isn't necessarily referring to a port because it's already on that console. They're just not translating it and bringing it overseas. But the point still stands that these companies are gonna do what they want to do with their games on what consoles and what regions they're allowed to be played on and where they're gonna be available, where they're gonna be translated. It's all decided up to them. And they know better than the gamers at the end of the day what's gonna perform well and what's not. Are they perfect? No, nobody is, but they do their best to maximize the profits, which is the point of being successful in the video game industry by and large. Well, that and, like I said in a previous video, making good games, which is something Square Enix doesn't necessarily have to worry about because they're doing a fine job at that right now. But companies like Konami and Castlevania and Heck, even getting them to make a Castlevania game is hard enough these days. Or what's going on with Metal Gear Solid. There's so many things you could talk about in this realm of, I want this game here, I want this game to get made. It doesn't happen unless everything comes together and the company decides it's the right time to make that move. And gamers demanding it rarely, if ever, changes that. But regardless, my point is, it is what it is, and complaining and fighting about it isn't going to change anything. So just stop it and enjoy the games that you have to play already. And if Devil May Cry is coming to the Switch, it's already going to happen. And if Dante's going to be a playable character on the fighting roster for Smash Ultimate, it's going to happen, and there's nothing people are going to do that's going to change that. Nintendo's either going to do it or not, and buying Devil May Cry isn't going to impact that whatsoever. At least, that's how I feel about this situation. But I'd be very interested to hear where you stand on the issue of port begging, and if it's okay to port beg, and what kind of situations would be okay, if you can justify it, or if you're like me and you think port begging is absolutely ludicrous, it's ridiculous, it's childish, and shouldn't exist in the video game world as we know it. And I'll leave it right there. Thank you guys so much for watching, and as always, you stay smashing.